laughing? Why are they laughing? Do you notice that? These women are laughing at you. Yeah. This is not fair, ladies.
We're going to see more women in a
Absolutely,
minute.
there are more women. She put the dog before him and you laughed.
It's not funny, is it?
It's not funny.
It's not. That's the way I feel. You know, but after saying that, at the moment, my ex-wife is one of my best friends. Same with my children. I've got my young lad. He basically takes on the father role.
But you're saying you had an affair because you felt unloved, basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
The other things were the dog was loved more than you.
Yeah.
I think
then
they
it
look
was.
for any excuse though to have an affair, and they'll blame anything.
I
They'll
got
look
to,
for an
I,
excuse
I got
and
to
then
a,
say, "Oh, she's done this."
No, I got to a stage with. I got to a stage with my ex-wife. Is I came that close to hitting her. We had a Barney one hell of a row one day, and I thought, that's it.
Didn't
I
you
had
think
to go
of
out.
any other solutions, though?
At the time, no. I'd met this other lady who I thought was very attractive.
You see Anne there?
Yeah.
There you go, she's saying, I think she's got your number.
Yeah. And she seemed to understand me, give me what I wanted, talk. We sat in my car and talked for hours.
So it was the classic, my wife didn't understand me syndrome.
Probably, yeah.
And you weren't able to go to your wife and say, I feel you don't understand me, and what can we do about this?
I think we've gone past that.
Why?
We'd had 17 years together, you know, and I think...
Why do people have affairs?
For all sorts of reasons.
Yeah.
For all sorts of reasons. Because they are not getting their needs met within the marriage and they look outside. Because they're feeling unloved. Because it's an excitement. Many
You
reasons.
said excitement. You were saying excitement.
Probably they get bored and don't speak to one another and they meet someone else and a bit of excitement, and that's how it happens.
Is it?
Well,
I suppose.
one of the
Which I
interesting...
suppose.
Like that, doesn't it? Every affair or
Yes.
relationship situation starts with the excitement in the beginning.
Yes.
I think one of the things that was classic in my case that people make a joke about is when you're having sex, she turns around and says, oh, by the way, the kids need new shoes. And it actually happened.
She must have been bored with you then. She must have been boring. She must have been very bored. She's talking about shoes and you're having sex with her.
John?
What about the girl, does she talk about shoes, the new one you're with now?
There we go to another subject. That ended in October.
Oh.
I'm just getting over that.
For the same John, why do they stray?
Not
Well,
because of me.
in my-
It was because somebody else.
Hold on, my friend.
In my situation, I was married 23, 24 years. I was very, very happy. I gave my wife everything. But of course, affairs are a way of life. I went on into another relationship for several years, and the lady I was with, I wouldn't live with her because of her standards, but...
Her standards?
Her standards, yeah, her standards. Yes. See, you all go, oh, you don't listen. No, but there was reasons. She was always looking for something better. She was never happy with me. In fact, she
you had an affair with?
No, after my marriage. Oh, you're not listening.
Well, I
After
missed a
my
bit,
marriage. And she went off with someone else just for sex. And
I think they do. I think people
I've
do.
always said men are deeper lovers than women, and that man over there has proved it today. But no, come on. And that man said the same.
Go on,
Yeah, but the thing is...
Jerry, please, no, one at a time. I can't get you all.
Okay,
Jerry.
I had an affair with a married man, and I'm not proud of it, but he told me, and they always tell you it's the same old story that, you know, my wife doesn't understand, but it was a bit further. His marriage was over, it was finished, it was dead, you know, there was no sex, there was no love, she was... killing herself with alcohol. I know, this is what they do. He told me, and I actually believed him at the time.
How many times do you women hear these stories and listen to it?
Believe me, all the time. Well, married men hear it all the time.
Very convincing.
Why do you fall for it?
Because that's the pandemic in being a woman and wanting to trust and believe a man.
You're much
and
more cleverer than us.
No, it's not. No, I'm not.
You're much
I'm
more
just
devious
human.
and clever.
Oh no, I am probably, but not in regards to
Definitely.
relationships.
Jean, why do people do it?
You know.
I think it's because of excitement, looking for something that they haven't got, maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. My husband left me after 35 years. He'd sent me a lovely bouquet for our anniversary, lovely, lovely card. And a fortnight after, he says, I'm leaving.
And what reasons did he give?
He wanted to be on his own, so he said. But I didn't believe that was the reason, because I had suspected for maybe a year that his relationship with his secretary was more than business.
That's got somewhere to go. They don't just go to somebody.
How do you know?
They do go. Men are like that. That's the way men
Most
are.
of them don't go, though, do they? I mean,
No, they stay.
They stay,
Most,
they don't go.
Yes, no,
But you mean if
correct.
they leave, whatever the reasons they're
They go
giving,
into
they've
a
got
woman.
somebody tucked away.
Yes.
They're going.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree.
Is that-
Men don't go to
Absolutely.
be on their own.
No.
They've always got the next one to go.
Absolutely.
Does that apply to women too? When women
No,
go?
women never have it. Women never have it.
Hang on.
Women are more
Women,
self-sufficient.
yeah,
and
well, they become that way, don't they? You
Yes.
have to be. Eventually, you have to
Yes.
become self-sufficient.
I think women. I think that they're right. That women often survive much better on their own than men do.
Yeah.
I mean, we see that
We're not
when
talking about surviving,
after widows and what
it's why.
after being widowed, you know, men generally move into another relationship. Women often are on their
And they
own.
always wait.
But I
They
think
wait
there are
till
often
they've got the
particular
relationship.
triggers for an affair. I mean, I think there are particular times when a marriage is vulnerable, and often that's when the balance shifts. I mean, when you were ill, you were presumably not as available for your husband as you had been previously. The little boy in him comes out, he wants his mum, she's not there.
That's right.
And so he looks elsewhere.
Absolutely
Another
right.
one
Oh, you meant
is when-
available, not just
Emotionally
sexually.
available. No, emotionally available.
physically.
Yeah.
Emotionally
Yeah.
available.
Yeah.
I think another trigger point is when a new baby comes into the family, or the first baby very often.
Yeah.
And that, again, it's not because people often, I think, traditionally thought that's because, you know, the wife's not sexually there now. It's not sexually there. It's that their mind is moved on to something else. They've got a baby to look after. The man is no longer the baby in the family, if you like.
But you're talking about why men. What about
I'm talking about
women?
why men.
Why women?
Well, often I think women, it's a similar cry for help. It's a similar, there's something wrong here.
'Cause the men
and I
are
don't know how else to
emotionally-
express it except looking outside the marriage for some other comfort. And I think sometimes, if you then look back within the marriage, if the marriage is strong enough to actually do it, the marriage has to be quite strong in the first place, you can, as Sheila I'm sure has seen, move on from there. If you're prepared to look at what was happening in the marriage, if both people are prepared
Found
to
the
do that,
mistake.
if both people, but both people have to be prepared to do it, and look at where they can go back to and then move on from there. Why did it happen in the first place? What were the reasons it happened? Is there any room for growth there? Then it's possible to move on, not always.
OK, so there we're talking about, and we've got examples here of people who've survived. They're making their marriage work. Our so-called experts at this conference at the beginning of the week were also saying it can improve your marriage, an affair. Can it improve your marriage?
It can't, excuse me, it can't improve your marriage, but I think my wife summed it up, and I'll just be on to my wife.
No, from my own personal experience, I'm the adulteress, so I'm the woman, and to my personal experience, I've got a very low sex drive. He's got a high one. I didn't like a lot of sex. Oh yeah, it seems weird, doesn't it? And I've found that you become friends more than lovers in a marriage. You seem to be becoming like sort of every day-to-day chores. You sort of, I love, no, and things like that. And you're just good friends eventually, and that's where I found that I went for the affair, because we were just like friends. We weren't husband and wife anymore. There was something missing, and that's where I found. That's why I went out.
So your affair could start off as good friends, you know, very good friends, which has happened in my daughter's case. He went off with a very good friend, a friend of Jacqueline's. But then, yes, maybe the woman does do it for comfort, for a friend, but then it just gets more and more and more involved. You know, I'm not sticking up for the man, but the man gets to a point where he gets so involved in the friendship with the lady, he doesn't know how to get out. And, you know, this has happened in our case. He doesn't know how to leave the other woman, in fact.
But these professors who've been kind of lecturing us have been saying that, oh, we're making too much fuss about unfaithfulness nowadays, and we should take the view that actually marriages can survive infidelity, and we know that, and we've seen it, people can get their act together. They're saying more than that. They're saying, in some cases, it actually makes the marriage better. It improves the marriage, either because it adds spice or danger, or because he's watching where she is now, so he's being a good husband and what have you.
It's nice to think...
I mean, is there an element of what we're asking, are these experts right? Because we're the real experts,
it's down to the... Yes, that's right, and that's quite right. It's down to the individual, isn't it? You know, it's lovely that you've got back together again, but I agree with the lady down there. There's always that not trust. There is some point where you won't trust each other.
The marriage, does it improve? Does it make it better? Does it bring an extra dimension?
Well, it didn't prove in my case. He was doing it 2 years behind my back with my best friend. I knew exactly all what was going on.
This is not...
No, this is
because you're nodding in his direction as if he was doing it behind your back.
No, this is my new husband.
Right. So your previous husband.
Yeah, and he was going out on call and telling me that it was the job that needed him, and it wasn't. It was the young lady, my best mate. He tried to lie for 2 years. In between that time, I had 2 children, and he made me have sterilisation after my 3rd one, and it just didn't mend for me. I couldn't accept the way he was. You know, he'd done it 6 weeks after I was married. He'd done his first affair, and then a year later he'd done exactly the same with my best friend. And, you know, I tried to mend the first time, and I just couldn't the second time.
I think there's a difference, isn't there? Please. I think there's a difference between someone who, after years of a marriage, suddenly decides, you know, or finds themselves in a situation where they're in an affair, and someone who betrays right from the off.
Yeah, it was just
and I think there are people who are what I call serial adulterers, where they will always have a relationship on the side because they cannot commit to one, and they have to. It's like a child who has to keep coming reassured that someone else likes them and fancies them.
There's insecurity,
deep insecurity,
deep inadequacy that needs to be constantly assuaged, reassured.
They will never be good at long-term relationships. Those people never.
Well, in that case, how does that affect your attitude to the concept of marriage, or to...
Well, it took me quite a long time. I was under psychiatric care with it, and I was on Valium, 15 milligrams a day.
Can you trust men?
I'm just starting to trust Terry. You know, he's a smashing bloke, but he had to give up pool, he had to give up darts, so I couldn't make myself sure that he was going to...
How long have you been with Terry?
I've been with him nearly 2 years now.
Is she watching your back all the time?
No, not no more. She used to. She stopped me from going to all the sports I used to go to, pool, darts. I mean, I used to play football, and I had to give that up because everywhere I went, she wanted to know who it was with, why, when, what time I'm getting back.
Right. Is he the same with you?
Oh yeah. In fact, it's brought the best out in him. He brings me flowers, and he never used to. He brings me chocolates, and he never used to. I like being pampered like that, and I like him telling me how much he loves me, you know. And even we've got our children before, and he's never even bothered when I've been pregnant or anything. Well, this one, he's sort of, all right, baby, you know, and things like that. He's really...
The affair highlighted the problems, and you were saying that you were just you'd got into kind of being too matey almost, and that you'd lost the man-woman stuff.
Yeah, it was sort of routine.
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, when, you know, 2 people have had an affair, that you've got to pick the pieces up if it's possible, and you've got to try. And
but you were saying about going back to where you were before. In fact, actually, that's not the ideal place to be. You want to
what I'm saying
go on with what you've learned.
No, what I'm saying is that obviously there's 2 sorts of people. It can be that you've had a happy marriage, you can be a bad marriage, but you can have adulterers, and as this lady's quite rightly pointed out, you can have what she calls, and I think it was an apt phrase, serial adulterers.
Yeah.
In my wife's case, I think it was, I was out till 2 and 3 in the morning, I was actually working. Now, she actually thought that I was having an affair, so she thought that I'm going to have an affair. I wasn't having an affair. But at the end of the day...
You sure?
Positive. Believe you, I wasn't out clubbing or anything like that.
That's not what you told me.
You got it on tape. Right, basically, all I'm going to say about this is this. I'm not the best person to give advice, but when this happens, after it happened and we're trying to get back together and trying to sort things out, I did everything in my power. I even bugged the car. I did everything, right? I even heard her call me to her mother and saying, oh, he only brought me 11 red roses instead of 12. Now that hurt me, right? But I felt it necessary to do that. Now, I don't do that anymore, but from time to time, I will occasionally, just out of the blue, check. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, as long as you don't. You know, occasionally, but as long as you don't let it ruin your life.
Hold on, please come.
I was actually asking how you had access to all these things. I wouldn't have known how to start bugging anything.
Well, you don't want to know about that. But does it improve? Can it, this concept, this notion that an infidelity by one or other of the partners can, in some circumstances, or for some couples?
I think so. I've known the guy that I know for quite a long time.
Who you've been having an affair with?
Yes, yeah.
He's married?
He's married, and if his marriage is going fine, I hear from him once a week. As soon as he's had a row with his wife, I hear from him 3 times a day. She's done this, she's done that. Often I agree with what she's done. It sounds good. And I'll say to him, but you're wrong. What she says is right. Go and listen to the woman again.
So what are you saying?
And
You're an aid?
almost sticking up for her.
So you're saying you're an aid
she's...
to the marriage?
Oh, yes, I think so.
An agony aunt.
An agony aunt.
Listen.
What do you want for yourself?
Well, I'm not quite sure. I'm fairly happy as I am.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, so you were the mistress.
Yeah.
My marriage broke because of a mistress. The following marriage broke again. A serial adultery or whatever. Something led them to divorce. But, I mean, with me, I knew within a week that there was someone else. And for 2 years, I knew that there was someone else, even though I kept saying, I'm trying to break up, and I could hear them on the phone trying to break, swearing and using abusive language.
You knew, you mean, and he knew that you knew. It was open between you?
Well, he kept promising, yes.
But you know, he was going to end the relationship, but you both knew about the relationship.
Yes.
My friend here says that she thinks she was actually contributing to the marriage by I mean, she said she was counselling him in a way. She was kind of telling him to do better things for his wife or whatever. Is there an element?
Not in my marriage.
She was doing her things best. Are different, though.
Yes, people are individuals. But, I mean, listening to everyone and listening to myself over the years and looking back at my marriage, it lacked of one thing. Before the marriage and during the marriage. And that's communication. Because if something is missing in our life, if we want something from the other party, we just have to be open. We're married. We took this commitment to be together. So why not? I didn't do it then. I know that if I will go into a marriage again, or even living together, never mind the marriage, counseling before, otherwise no.
When I recognized that the affair was wrong for all of us, I ended the affair, and I insisted that the man that I was involved with go to relate, and either that they reconcile or they get it over with. But I couldn't stand on the outside and wait. And the happy news is they went to relate. They did reconcile. And I think the fact that his wife found out about me made her quite jealous. She had taken him for granted for a long time, and I think she improved the relationship. She did what he needed because he'd been neglected.
So we've got 2 mistresses here, Anne, Audrey, saying they were a contribution, a positive contribution to the marriage. Anne, Audrey.
In their opinion they were, but a third person can never
But his
help
wife
a
knows
marriage.
me. She's phoned me. I talked to her. She knows of my existence, and she's known of my existence for years.
Oh, that's after your marriage is over. That's after you're divorced from your husband.
Pardon?
He's remarried this woman, hasn't he?
No, He's still with her. He's never
he
left
is married.
her.
She's the mistress of the...
Maybe his wife's got another man and she's not so bothered. And
Maybe, but that's not what she says.
I actually had an affair. It certainly didn't spice up my marriage. It made me realise that my marriage was absolutely dead and gone and buried. But I feel awful sitting here saying now that I told my husband that I was going out with this chap and that was that, and he actually said, OK, go, because I think he thought, if I let her go, she'll get it out of her system, she'll come back and get on with it. That wasn't what happened. But I have to say, I do feel so terribly guilty now for that.
Did you and your husband have a high sex drive?
John?
Did this lady and her husband have a high sex drive?
No,
How do you know what a high sex drive is? How can you measure it?
No, for you to have an affair.
That's quite a personal question, but we had, at that point, we had no sex life at all, and we hadn't had one for 8 months. We did have a new baby, but we really had no sex life as such before that.
But you said you started the affair, and it was at that point when you got into the affair that you realised your marriage was at an end. So why did you start the affair?
It's really strange, Robert. It wasn't as if I was out there looking for somebody else. I'd kind of done everything on my own for such a long time. All of a sudden, I got a new job. There was this man. I think just the thrill that somebody else is interested in you for a start, and all of a sudden the attention, the excitement, it's all those old feelings of when you first meet somebody, and it just takes you over without you realising.
And it was in the course then of that, when the affair was consummated, that you realised your marriage was... What did you realise what was wrong? That you didn't love your husband, or...?
Not just that I didn't love him, that we just had absolutely nothing in common with each other at all. And it got so bad that we couldn't even sit in the same room with each other because, this sounds terrible, but everything about him irritated me. The way he spoke, the way he sat, the way he walked, the way he talked, everything.
I don't think you liked your husband.
That sounds awful now, and if he's watching this, he's going to kill me.
What's the guilt? You mentioned guilt.
The guilt is because, on the face of it, we were a happy little family with an 8-month-old baby. And we were a happy family. And the fact that I took that baby away from him and left him just makes me feel really, really guilty. I left him.
Jeremy?
I think we keep talking about sex as being the sort of driving force behind all this.
It isn't, though.
And it really isn't the driving force. No. The driving force, no, it becomes important. No, it's important to you, with respect. It becomes an important factor. The most important thing is you're looking for friendship very often. You're looking for somebody to talk to. And I think this is the biggest problem that men have. And I've experienced it myself. I've just gone through... I had a bad breakdown, tried to commit suicide in January of this year. I've gone through 6 or 7 weeks in a psychiatric hospital sorting myself out. And what I had forgotten, or what I hadn't got in touch with, was my femininity. The thing inside, the part inside of me that relates to women. I didn't know what it was. I'd been brought up in a macho, rugby-driven society, swilling beers with the boys.
So what are you talking about? What did you need your femininity for? Of course that's important.
To be able to start to understand and communicate with women on a better level than I'd ever been used to before.
Because you'd had an affair, or because your partner had an affair?
I've never been married.
But you had a partner?
No, basically, I ended a relationship that went on for 9 years. She was a victim of a very cruel adulterer.
She had an affair?
No, she was the victim of a cruel adulterer. They then got divorced. I went out with her, and all the baggage that she took from that relationship, she brought into our relationship. All the distrust, all the anger, all the jealousy, and everything like that. And actually now, through my own fault,
it's on you.
I'm the victim.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I've gone to try and find out why, and I've got in touch with some of my sensitivity and some of my... And I'm beginning to understand that what it comes down to at the end of the day is understanding what women want and women understanding what men need. And vice versa.
You shouldn't need to be told that. You start with that.
We're never told it.
We shouldn't need to be. It's instinctive, isn't it?
We're not told at school.
No.
Yeah, but
Nobody talks to us about relationships at school.
You must be
Do
very
mistresses
weak.
have rights,
Who must be weak?
You must be very weak.
These
You wanna
experts
commit
who've been lecturing
suicide?
us tell us that mistresses have to be...
There are other reasons.
You asked me a question.
What are you two?
There are other reasons.
Oh, hang on. Sorry.
He
I don't want to
said,
interrupt you. No?
He said I must be very weak because I wanted to commit suicide. There were other reasons.
Definitely. I think if you can't get hold of yourself and sort yourself out, I mean, you're not a young man. Well, you are a youngish man, but you know, kids do things like that. You've got to get your act together. You've got to get your act together.
There were many other reasons.
Let Jeremy answer.
There were many other reasons, and with due respect to you, and you don't know what those reasons were. I had business problems, I had all sorts of other problems at the same time, and it built up to such an extent I could not see the wood for the trees.
You're fine. Do mistresses have to come back to the subject? And these experts who tell us this, do they? Do mistresses
Of course they have rights, absolutely. And for everybody to sort of blame the mistress, it's shoving all the problems onto her rather than looking at the problems in the marriage.
What are their rights?
Their rights are the same as any individual's rights.
But they have feelings. They have feelings.
They too have feelings.
Well, they do have feelings. Yes, certainly. But no, I don't agree. They don't have rights. I've had my 40 years of my life have been wiped out, absolutely wiped out. And I, like Jeremy, I tried to commit suicide.
But by blaming the mistress, it's not going to solve the problem.
Yeah, I mean, the mistress isn't the person to put anything at risk.
This lady has ruined my life, the lives of my children.
It's not this
my
lady.
home. My home is gone. I don't know where I'm going to live. I'm being chucked out.
Caroline, you said it wasn't the mistress's fault.
No, because
Caroline?
I mean, it's not of her that's put anything at risk. I mean, it's the man who's married who is jeopardising his situation. It's not the mistress.
No.
I mean, you know, we don't go out to hurt. You know, I mean, they.
You're
Yeah.
a mistress.
Yeah, I was.
Or was?
I was, yeah, for about a year and a half. And he went back to his family life. Yeah, I was hurt, and I feel that I was, well, I suppose, used to a degree. And at the end of it, I seemed to be, well, I felt I was the only one sort of lost. Because I ended up with nothing. All I ended up with sort of stories of how his wife didn't understand him and their situation.
Well, you knew he was married when you went out with him.
Yes, I did.
So you take that chance. When you go out with a married man, you take the chance that he's married and I'll probably end up hurt.
Oh, yeah,
So
I
you
know, but
take
you
your
can't
chance,
help
don't
your
you?
own emotions, and you can't help
Let me get somebody else in.
are.
Yeah. Go on. No, you were waiting to speak. No, please. You're talking about the mistress. The mistress
I don't think they do have rights. I mean, when it that's the personal opinion. But going back to who's to blame.
Why don't they have rights? You said
Well,
they should
within the relationship, it's. I don't know. I believe there's more into the marriage.
I think they do have rights. I mean, just say you are someone's mistress for 5 or 6 years, and he's been telling you stories, and he's been keeping you in a certain style that you're accustomed, and then he decides just to throw you away for some other one. Come on, I think you do have a right, and I think he should compensate you for that.
Of course it
But surely at the end of the day, that you know you're going into that situation.
No, you don't. If he tells you that he's going to leave her and it's going to take time, he
But
needs
that's
to get
the
a
same old
divorce.
story and everything. I think to a certain
then
degree.
I do think you should be able to get counselling and compensation in the end.
Compensation?
Yes, even compensation.
What's the compensation?
Well, if you're someone's mistress and say he set you up in a flat and, you
You're
know...
a mistress.
No, I'm not.
You're not.
But I tell you, if I was, he certainly would compensate me.
Jane?
No, why should you have all that I've worked for? I took the brunt of everything, working out to work our way up in life, and now it's all been snatched away from me.
Excuse me, but your husband doesn't have a mistress, he's left you. There's
Pardon?
a difference. Your
He
husband
has?
hasn't got a mistress, he has left you. Having a
He's
mistress
got-
is when
he's got-
you're still in the
he's got
marriage.
another woman.
Yeah. Yes,
got
but he's no
another
longer with you, is he?
But why? Why?
No, but having a mistress is actually when he still lives with you.
Oh, yes, he was living
He
with
will
me.
have had a
I
mistress,
suspected
that's why
for
he's
over
gone.
a
I
year.
personally think you're better out rid of him.
But she's losing her home.
Gonna get a man's voice into this.
She's financially not better off.
Oh, no, she's not better off.
Married men and running off with women, but in fact I'm in a situation where I am the man seeing a married woman, and I'm in a sort of limbo where I don't know what she's actually doing, but you still cling to the hope that she might eventually leave.
She's using
If she's married, get rid of her.
Well,
she's married.
Yeah.
She's just using you for
Cherry.
sex.
But-
I know, because
but
lots of my
it's easy to
girlfriends
say
doing
that though,
the same.
isn't it?
They're bored with their marriages, and so they're
When you cross the
taking-
but when you cross the threshold between a physical need and the emotional need. He's
serious.
I mean, I am
I
quite.
know, but it's madness. Those women, you know, when married women have affairs, they're very different from men, and they just go for it, and they're vicious with it.
But even though they sort of pretend that it's all, you know.
If she wants you, why did she
I
make
don't
you?
know
She
what
gonna-
I'm going to do. And
Don't be forced. Don't be forced.
What? Tell him.
I think they're out for what they can get.
Yeah.
What, the married? What does that mean?
The married woman.
What does that mean? Out for what they can get? What, do you
From
mean
you,
money?
from you.
Sex.
Anything.
Yeah,
Could be anything. Couldn't it?
Oh, is that different from men? Did he? Hold on. Lorraine's going to counsel you. Here you are.
I'll be honest with you. When you said
Because she's a married woman.
yeah,
Or what?
I'm the married woman, but I
She's
had
the
an
married
affair
woman,
with
Justice
a
said.
married man. We was both married. So when the lady over there said that I'm out for what I can get, I am not, because he already had a marriage anyway. So I'm out for
It's
what I
so
can
easy
get.
for other people from the outside to say, "Oh, just get out of it, just walk away."
Yeah.
You
It's
can't.
easy.
You've got to be
It's
strong
here in
and
the
do
heart.
it.
You want that person.
Why doesn't she go to you? Why does she stay with her husband if she
because of
loves
the-
you?
She puts it down to the guilt on feeling sorry for her husband.
She's comfortable with you. He's paying the mortgage.
He sounds as if he needs counselling.
He does. He does.
No, I don't mean that any disparagingly, because that is, of course, what our experts are telling us the mistress needs. That if the affair ends, the mistress needs counsel. Do they, Anne?
Yeah, every mistresses do need counselling.
We all need
Your husband's mistress, you'd counsel her?
No, but I think she needed to go to counselling because my husband told us such an absolute pack of lies that the girl was disturbed by it.
And
I felt sorry for her.
And you think it's a good idea that there should be counselling and therapy available?
Definitely, yes. If it helps people, there should definitely be counselling.
You're looking at me with kind of, I don't know what to describe it as. It's your daughter?
Yes.
It's your daughter who says this. Don't you agree with your daughter?
Well, yes, really, I do. If he's told her lies, like...
He told this girl so many terrible lies.
Would you...
They do tell
that she needed help because she was distraught, this girl.
And
I felt sorry for her.
Are you saying they needed... Your husband's mistress needed help too?
I'd counsel her.
You'd counsel? Okay, I'm the mistress. Go on, pretend I'm her. Counsel me, counsel. No, I'm here.
Just...
Counsel me.
I couldn't do it on the television.
No, it's got to be one-to-one in a room, in my own.
Sheila, should I
No. I mean, when you know somebody's, you know, very ill with cancer, I mean, I could have died with what I had. To not leave it alone then, that she does need cancer.
So is this something we've got to take seriously?
She needs help.
Well, I think it is, yes, because women are asking too little for themselves if they're just the mistress of a married man. They're shortchanging themselves. And we need to know why they have such low self-esteem. That they'll take just the bits that are left over from a marriage.
It's always in the way.
But, all right, well, ask them, why do you... I'm looking for a mistress.
Well,
why do you take... You ain't Caroline. Why do you do this? Take the bits left over from a marriage? She says low self-esteem.
You get involved with the person. You don't get involved with their situation in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, you've only got the option of taking what's there, what is on offer.
Yes.
So that is how you basically sacrifice.
But some people at that stage would say that is not enough. Sling your hook.
Yeah, that's very easy to say, but by that stage, you're too involved with the person.
You've got to be strong.
You know, it's your feelings. It's not.
But there's always a bit, isn't there? There's always a bit saying, "Hang on, I'm worth more than this."
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, that eventually what happened.
And you finished, did you?
Yeah. Well, it was both. It was both sort of both ways, but it was getting too much hard work.
My ex-partner, I was with him for 10 years. Lived with him for 5. He had an affair with my best friend, whom I thought was a rather close friend. I suspected for a while. I hadn't loved him for about 6 months and was trying to get rid. She did me a great favour by doing so. I promptly, when I found out, I promptly packed his suitcases in quite a hilarious manner and promptly put them on all his belongings to the pavement when it was hail, rain and snow.
Well, I'll tell you what, there is no snow, we hope, in Los Angeles, where the show comes from, all next week from California. See you Monday in Hollywood. Take care of yourselves.
Are you a bachelor and want to stay that way? Have you never been tempted to marry? Call Kilroy now on 0891 555588 if you have decided to spend the rest of your life without a wife.